Hello everyone and welcome to chapter 4. In this chapter we're going to be exploring exponents and roots, like square roots and that. And this is a very important chapter because next year in 8th grade we do a lot with this. So very good chapter. Like I said, it's chapter 4 and lesson 1, exponents. The objective of this lesson is that you'll be able to write numbers in exponential form and then simplify powers. Well, let's do some vocab to start with. I drew over here an example. You'll see on the next page I did 2 to the 7th power. The 2 is the base. The 7 is called the exponent. So let's write this down. The exponent is the number that tells you how many times the base is used as a factor. So in our example here, the exponent is 7, and it tells me to write the base that many times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what the exponent tells the base to do. Exponential form is a number written with a base and an exponent. So in our example, 2 to the 7th, that entire thing is written in exponential form. And I put an example here. Exponent is pointing to the 7 there. So what's the base? Well, the base is the number that is repeated. I also wrote the big number. For example, 2 to the 7th, the 2 is the base. The 2 is the base. By big number, I mean it's written larger than the others. It's not necessarily worth more, it's just written in a larger font. Power. Power, it's another name for exponent, for an exponent. There's some debate on that it also means something else, but for now we're going to do this definition. So here's the example I already showed you. This is called the base, and this is called the exponent, or sometimes power, and the entire thing is written in exponential form. Well, that's what we're going to do right now. We are going to write these in exponential form. So the number that repeats is the base. So the number that I see repeating is a 4. And the exponent tells me how many times did I see that 4. And I saw it multiply itself 4 times. So 4 to the 4th power is how we say that. Now, in parentheses, they look, like maybe not a big deal, but it is important. If the number repeating is in a parentheses, you need to include that. So I see 3 of these, so I'm going to do my base is -6 in a parentheses, and there are 3 of them. Now I see 2b, and I see 3 of them. Well, you have a choice here. You can take, they're not glued together, so I see 3 2's and I see 3 b's. So this is one answer. Or I am going to place a parenthesis around this to show that 2b, the entire thing, 2b, was repeated 3 times. That's important. Let me show you what would be wrong. This over here, wrong, because it only shows that the b repeated 3 times. It doesn't show that the 2 repeated, so that would be wrong. Okay, let's do this. So I see how many 5's? So I see 2 5's, and then how many d's do I see? I see 3 d's, or 4 d's, sorry, I see 4 d's. There, and that's how you write that. All right. Now what we're going to do is simplify. We're going to simplify numbers in exponential form. In other words, say what they're worth, what their value is. So, okay, what's the difference between these two? They look the same, but here's what I want to point out. When you have a parentheses with an exponent, that means, and I want you to do this, don't take shortcuts, I want you to actually write the parentheses twice, or whatever the exponent is. This exponent says 2. Write it twice and then evaluate it. -2 times -2 equals a +4. Now, look at this one, and this confuses kids. If you look at this, the 2 is raised to the second power. So that tells me to write 2 2's, but it does not tell me to write 2 negative signs. I know my negative signs look weird. Just forget about that. But it does not say to write 2 negative signs. So guess what? This is -4, and that's a hard thing for some people to understand or come to terms with. Here's one way I can teach it to you. What if I were to say, order of operations, do 10 minus 2 squared? What would you do? You would not minus first, you would do exponents first. 2 squared is 4, and then you would write 10 minus 4. Okay, look closely. Look at that. Look at right here. What do you, if I were to cover that 10 up, what do you see right here? A -4. What's this? -4. It's the same thing. So that's why this equals -4 and this equals positive. Let's look at some more examples so you can get a better picture. So I see -7 in a parentheses to the second power. So I'm going to write the parentheses just the way I see it twice. Now I'll evaluate it. -7 times -7 equals positive 49. Positive 49. Now here it tells me to repeat the 7 twice. So I will go negative, I'll write the negative, but then I'll do 7 times 7. And that equals -49, okay? So another way to look at it is you do your exponents first, order of operations, and this minus sign, subtraction, happens after, and it just sits and waits. So these will always be negative no matter what. Now let's do a parentheses again. -5 to the third power, so in parentheses. So I'm going to do -5 parentheses, -5 parentheses, -5 parentheses. So -5 times -5 is 25, and then I'm going to multiply it to my other -5, and that gives me a -125. So what do we notice here? We notice that just because it's in parentheses, it won't always be positive. And the trick, you'll see it eventually. If you have a negative base in a parentheses and the exponent's odd, the answer is negative. If the exponent is even, the answer will be positive. Let's do our last one. No parentheses and a negative base. Right now I know it's a negative answer. I know it. I know it is because what I'm going to do is write the negative sign, and then how many 5s will I write? I'll write 3 5s, and I'll multiply them. So I'll get 125, but the negative right here will just sit there. So this is -25. So in this case, these are both equal values. That happens sometimes.